A pair of supposed FBI whistleblowers were challenged during a hearing on weaponization of the FBI. This is something that Jim Jordan has a committee on. There are committee hearings on, the FBI is being weaponized. It's being weaponized against Republicans, against conservatives, against Donald Trump. But it turns out that two of these whistleblowers who alleged that they were fired from the FBI, not fired, sorry, that they had their access restricted because of the fact that they are Republicans, that they are conservative, they're pro-Trump. Turns out they were actually paid by one of Donald Trump's former officials. So now, the line of questioning that I'm going to show you is from Democratic Representative Dan Goldman, who's a freshman representative, and he questioned first Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle, and then later on asked the same questions to former FBI Special Agent Steve Friend about receiving money from former Trump official Kash Patel. Kash has got the cash, and he's giving it to people. So, with that, let's go to the video.
Have you received any money from Kash Patel or his organization?
I have.
When you previously met with the majority members and/or majority staff of this committee, was Kash Patel present for that meeting?
No.
To your knowledge, has Kash Patel ever spoken to the committee members on your behalf?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Was anyone present for your previous meetings with committee members and staff on the majority that were not members of this committee or staff of this committee?
My counsel.
Your counsel? Anyone else?
I don't think so. No.
Is Kash Patel helping you finance your counsel?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Mr. Friend, what about you? Do you know Kash Patel as well?
Yes.
And did you receive any money from Kash Patel?
Yes, he gave me a donation last November.
A donation?
Yes.
Are you a charitable organization?
I was an unpaid, indefinitely suspended man trying to feed his family, and he reached out to me and said he wanted to give me a donation.
All right, let's stop with the sad violence for a second. I'm just an indefinitely suspended man. I'm just trying to feed my family. Well, it's called getting a job. You could do that. I mean, again, that's not, my particular advice. But that's generally from the right wing. The right wing position is go out and get a job. Yeah. Oh, you can't feed your family? Go get a job, you bum. Anyway, so now my favorite part about that is, so you receive money from Kash Patel. Are you a donation? Sorry. Are you at a charitable organization? Is that what you are? No, I'm not a charitable organization. Then why are you getting money from this guy? I look, here's the thing. I doubt it's from the goodness of Kash Patel's heart. It's never really about kindness with these people. No, these two FBI agents are helping with the whole, the FBI, it's politically weaponized, and it was weaponized against Trump during the 2020 election, and therefore that's why Donald Trump lost, but then actually won. It doesn't make any sense narratively. There's just too many concurrent things going on for narratives to make sense at all. Stupid. Okay, anyway. So, now, weaponization. Now, is it true that the FBI has weaponized? Yes. Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and be a FBI defender. Okay, that's the last thing I want to do. Because the FBI has absolutely been weaponized against political groups. It just so happens that it's usually against leftists. Now, that said, if I saw actual weaponization against the right wing, I would think that it was wrong as well. But let me give you an example of what real weaponization is, okay? So, back in the 60s, during the Civil Rights era, the FBI had sent a letter to Martin Luther King Jr., along with copies of surveillance tapes that they made of him having extramarital affairs. And then, in doing so, they also encouraged him to off himself. Because they were very worried about this upstart Negro coming in and promoting communism. I don't know, going and taking this basically using the justification that, oh, well, we got to stop him from communism, from teaching the communisms to the people, which, again, he wasn't a communist. He was more socialist than anything, which is not the same thing. No, we got to save the country from communism. Therefore, we are going to unlawfully surveil him to try to find him having communist ties. And, oh, well, we didn't find that, but we did find that he was having some extramarital affairs. So we're just going to weaponize that, our surveillance against him, to get rid of him. That's weaponization. That's weaponization. And let me give you more details on that, because it really, if you haven't heard this already, it's incredibly disturbing. And if you have, you know how disturbing it is. After his I Gave You a Dream speech, FBI director at the time, J. Edgar Hoover, who himself was a pretty weird dude, became obsessed with proving that King was communist or had communist ties and wanted to discredit him generally. And he had authorized, again, as part of a political weaponization attempt, a massive surveillance program. FBI Domestic Intelligence Chief William Sullivan sent an unsigned letter to King's home containing the fruits of that surveillance. Quote, "You have been on the record, all your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies,
Sexual anarchy.
extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample. The public will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, what a grim farce, and other awards will not save you, King. I repeat, you are done. You know you are a complete fraud, a great liability to all us Negroes." By the way, Sullivan is white, so obviously he didn't sign it and say that this is from the FBI. Tried to disguise it as I'm a black person and I'm criticizing a black person. Where have we seen that before? Oh, right. I remember there was I believe it was a Republican congressman who forgot to switch over to his alternate Twitter account where he pretended to be a black man criticizing Obama. Haven't we seen this before? Yes, it's a tale as old as time. Apparently whiteface, or I'm sorry, they were putting on blackface for these people in order to go after black people. That's what these people were doing. So now Sullivan ended the letter by saying, "There's only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days. You want to talk about weaponization? That's weaponization. That's real weaponization. Now, what the FBI did in 2020 is basically told media companies, social media companies, hey, you might want to be on the lookout for Russian propaganda. That's a general notice, by the way. It doesn't sound like weaponization. It sounds like, hey, be careful of Russian propaganda. That we saw that in 2016, so just be wary of it now. And that's why, of course, the New York Post, Twitter had taken down a New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop because they were convinced, internally, they believed that it was Russian propaganda. It turns out it really wasn't. But at the same time, it had the hallmarks, according to executives. I'm a little uncomfortable with, by the way, taking down that kind of stuff. Really, the Hunter Biden story wouldn't have been a big story at all had it not, been taken down. It kind of amplified the whole thing. But anyway, that said, now there is something related that might be considered a little bit of weaponization, and again, is a bad thing. There was a former FBI lawyer who altered an internal email in order to continue the surveillance of former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Now, that was an FBI lawyer, again, not the head of the entire organization. And while it was, again, wrong, shouldn't have done that, he got in trouble for it. It doesn't really fit the narrative here of the deep state conspiracy to destroy Donald Trump's presidential campaign. It doesn't fit. Sorry. The whole thing, the whole hearing is a farce. It's a disaster. Now, Allen and Friend actually lost their security clearances for failing to refer information through the proper channels. It's kind of important to do. Copying sensitive information onto flash drives, not a good thing. Pushing conspiracy theories about January 6th into the the January 6th attack in the Capitol. That's a reality, and those are perfectly valid reasons as to take away the security clearance for these guys, for these agents. Now, where Kash Patel plays into this is whether or not he was given documents or testimony from either of these so-called whistleblowers. And that would be stuff that the Democrats did not have access to prior to this hearing. Jim Jordan also has been accused of taking so-called evidence or documentation and not sharing it with the rest of the committee. I don't know if that's true, but if true, it would be a violation of the committee's own rules, which in my view would, kind of disqualify this entire committee hearing at this point. You're not sharing the documentation, the evidence that you have ahead of time like you're supposed to. Then what are you doing? What, you're just trying to do sound bites and gotchas? Is that what's going on? I don't know, but either way, these hearings, so far they've been a mess, a disaster, a clown show. They've proven nothing. No weaponization, surprisingly, at the FBI, at least towards the right wing, because they don't generally go after the right wing. They generally go after the left. That's why, again, I'm not a fan of the FBI, but let's just put the facts where they are. And the facts are not on their side.